I have these classes for Nichols College, Nichols University, a couple nights a week. One night is I'm banging. I've got a huge buzz in my headphones as well. That's why I was banging on the thing to see if I can make it go away, but that's not going to go away either. You realize that there are internships, like college kids get internships in some cases where they make $35 an hour, and they sit around and do very, very little. Did you know that? Because I was listening to some of the kids last night talk about some of their internships during class. If you're doing it's a macroeconomics class, it's a good class. That's the guy I had on. He's a guy, I like him. He's a good teacher, I think. Anyway, they were telling either they make somewhere between $25 and $35 an hour to be an intern. Now, it's just jobs that are put out there for I guess college kids for the most part to get them ready for their career. $35 an hour is $1,400 a week to be an intern. 1,400. When I turned off the Zoom meeting last night, I had to have another moment of reflection on my life. I'm sure you hearing this now, maybe you're doing the same thing. 1,400 for some kids. Now I'm not saying that's every kid, but they were all very confident it was between $25 and $35 an hour. Unbelievable. Anyway, whether you align yourself with independents, libertarians, the donkeys, the elephants, arguing the competency and proficiency of Joe Biden and this administration would be an absolute Herculean effort, even for the most articulate of debaters. Biden and his cronies have botched and mangled every issue they've attempted to remedy. Some would say by choice, some would say by accident. That would be up to you. The southern border is battling a full-fledged invasion. Violent crime surges in big cities. Record-setting inflation, as you know, crippling your buying power, unless you're an intern making $1,400 a week. Everything is decimating the middle class. Savings accounts disappearing, evaporating, destroying low-income households completely. Unless, of course, you've got either an EBT card or some other kind of financial assistance. But it's the middle class that's getting beat to death. And under this administration's watch, more people have died from COVID. And all that they've done to try to prevent it. More people have died under the careful eye of Joe Biden than under the seemingly oblivious administration run by Donald Trump. This unified America that Biden talked about prior to his election, and then right there on his big inauguration day speech, the unified America. How's that working out for everybody? Or is that my fault because I get angry and come behind the microphone and don't like paying twice as much for food or gas than I did 2 years ago? So I'm to blame because I'm not keeping us unified. Yet during the 4 years of the Trump administration, even in areas where America was thriving, the left came out and hammered away and made up stories, and there was Russiagate and everything that followed that, which was all a bunch of garbage. Right? Nobody held Hillary Clinton responsible for funding the Steele dossier. Nobody said boo about that. That sort of just faded into the mist. No big deal. Right? And as a result, and by the way, I'll add in another factor, the election itself is under scrutiny. To me, 81 million people came out to vote for Joe Biden. Is that what you're saying to me? 81 million of you made that conscious choice. You saw the people up on stage and you decided, I tell you what, if you don't like Donald Trump, like you could have hated Donald Trump, and that's fine, right? I get that. I totally understand it. I do. But as I sit here and think about it, when you saw those two men up on stage, you had a third option. Could have voted for one of the independent candidates. Yet you decided to vote for Biden. Your hatred for Trump was so strong, you wanted, again, this is what I'm being led to believe because 81 million people supposedly voted for Joe Biden. Y'all came out with fury to make sure that he wasn't around. And as a result, we get this bumbling idiot in the White House who, and I'm just scratching the surface with a few of the things that I've talked about already this morning that he's completely botched. Right? Or wrong? I mean, can you at least give me that? Can you at least admit it? That you made a mistake? No? You don't want to do that? You're not willing to admit when you failed? I admit when I failed. I admit when I failed, screw up, do something wrong almost every day. Admit it, move on. Just admit it. Those of you who voted for Biden made a huge mistake. He's not a leader. He's a disaster. And if you think he's anything other than a disaster, well, you're living your life with blindfold on. You just refuse to admit when you are wrong. And in this case, you are wrong. I mean, you've got a person who's rambling on, is a rambling, bumbling, absolute, complete waste. Now, 20 years ago, Biden, although I wouldn't have chosen him, he had the political skill, if you will. He was slippery, like all politicians are slippery. He was slippery. Cunning, again, is the word I think best fits many politicians. Very cunning. But now, the team he's assembled, there's an old saying about a monkey and a football, right? And I think that may best describe Biden and his brass. Biden is again, typical, slippery, slimy politician whose true allegiance lies only with himself or the folks that have surrounded him, right? That's the elite, the inner circle, the inner core, and even them, right? If things go off the rails, they will carve him up and serve him up if it actually helps them. I mean, Biden's in no real position of power. It's the people around him that are in that position of power. Make no mistake about that. The advancement of personal power and influence is the only thing that really seems to resonate with Washington. And I know that's something that we talk about a lot, that Washington ruling class, but that's really the only important thing. Because you know what? These are not stupid people. Things could get done. Solutions could be created and come to pass if they really wanted it to happen. Or unless they're just genuinely sinister. They really want to tear apart what we have here, this 245-year experiment. They want to tear it apart. It's one or the other, right? It can't be both or neither. It's one or the other. They're either incompetent or they're sinister. And I know I've said this before. Right? Personal power is what it's all about. That ruling class. It shouldn't surprise anyone that Biden's hierarchy could conceivably make mistakes that could have a catastrophic effect on the world's economy. Like somehow some people say, whoa, they're doing a good job with the economy. Really? So the old idea of buyer beware seems to fit this situation. We need better statesmen, we need smarter leaders, or we need more scrupulous leaders in Washington, in the Capitol, or in Hartford for that matter. We've been settling for second best for way too long, or third best, or 10th best, or 100th best. For somehow, some way, these eels get a chance to get to positions of power. And we just let it happen. We just let it happen. All right, 24 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. I have no idea what's playing, what's not playing, how loud it is, how soft it is. So we're just rolling the dice. Who knows? Apparently nobody cares.